Hey everybody, in this Relief Maker video, we're going to talk about the 4 types of reliefs that Relief Maker offers and why you would want to use them. The first thing that we'll see appear under relief type is the fact that we have these 4 buttons: raised, recessed, both, and projection. Raised reliefs are going to be what 95% of your reliefs are. That's all of the coins in the world, or most of them, all of the wood carvings and signage and things like that, where the bulk of the relief or all of the relief is above some ground plane. And so if we just go ahead and click generate, we can see that the result of this is all going to be above our ground plane. Now, if we go to recessed and we click generate, we're going to get a weird result with this model. And we can see that it's done a good job in some places, but it has made everything appear below the ground plane in this case, which is the point of recessed. But it brings up a good point of you shouldn't expect to be able to use recessed on any kind of model. Recessed works best on models that are concave in nature, like a bowl. And so that gives the relief engine room to go down and not try to force something that is poking up to kind of be inverted and poke down. So what does a model like that look like? Well, we could use something like a sacred lily. Let me turn off the Triceratops. And we can see that this model, if we look at it from the side, each petal is kind of bowl-shaped. And this middle area is kind of a bowl shape. And so the conclusion we could make is that if we try to make a recessed relief from this, it's probably going to be pretty good. Let's take a look. So much, much better results than we got from the Triceratops. And the recessed does enforce that all of the geometry is below that ground plane. Now, we've noticed that the stem, however, isn't working too well. And the stem is not bowl-shaped, it is concave. And so if you don't care where the geometry is, if your manufacturing process allows it to be above and below, then you could click both. And that allows the relief engine total flexibility to do whatever it needs to do to make the relief. And in this case, the stem is above the ground plane and the rest of the model is below. Now, a quick word on making recessed reliefs. Let me turn back on my Triceratops. Oftentimes, you may want to make a recessed relief for a mold or something like that. And your first inclination may be to use the recessed button to make a recessed relief type, but that's probably not going to do what you want in most cases. And there is another way that is better for that use case. So we're going to make a raised relief of our object. And then we're going to come down to the post-processors and we're going to say invert relief. And that's going to just, wherever there's something above the ground plane, it's going to put it below. This is a perfect relief that has been inverted and is now ready for something like mold making. The final type of relief that we're going to talk about is projection. And it's important to know that you need to understand what this thing is and why you would want to use it, because if you don't, you're going to be really disenchanted with the results. But if you know what it's trying to do, it can be very useful. So without further ado, let's just generate a relief. And here we can see that the model hasn't really been made into a relief. It's been compressed a little bit, but we have these things shooting off the ground plane to meet the model wherever it would be in the Z. And so for most things, this is not going to be what you want. However, the reason that you might want to use this is because this model, this type of projection, minimally distorts the relief output. And so for things that are organically shaped, like a Triceratops or a dog or a human, you're never going to notice some of the slight distortions that the relief engine introduces with a raised relief type, for example. But when you start to try to make reliefs of buildings or things with repeating windows that are all along a particular axis, the human brain's really good at looking at that stuff and saying that's wrong. It shouldn't be bent, right? And so for certain kinds of things, mechanical model imports from CAD software sometimes, buildings, things that are already in a relief, and you don't need to make another relief of them, but you want to generate a 3D model of them, projection is going to be your go-to because it minimally distorts the types of things that the human brain's really good at picking up on. So those are the 4 types of relief. In other videos, we'll go through each one and show some good examples and talk about all of the settings that you can use.